We're always hearing about the latest and greatest health trends, right? But what if I told you one of the most powerful tools in our arsenal against something as serious as cancer? Could it be something as simple as just moving our bodies?
It's a really compelling idea, isn't it? And with cancer rates on the rise, it's a conversation worth having.
Absolutely. That's why today we're taking a deep dive into a study that explores this very connection, the link between exercise and cancer.
That's right. We'll be looking at how regular physical activity might actually help prevent cancer in the first place.
And we'll also explore how it can play a vital role during treatment.
So think of this as your guide to understanding the key takeaways from this research.
The study we'll be focusing on is titled The Power of Movement: How Regular Exercise Reduces Cancer Risk and Enhances Treatment.
And it delves into findings from research that was published in a pretty well-regarded scientific journal called Cell Metabolism back in 2017.
Now, one of the things that really caught our eye, and we think you'll find fascinating, is that this study found that exercise could potentially shrink tumors by a significant amount. In some preclinical models, we're talking up to 67% reduction in tumor growth.
That's a pretty remarkable finding, right? So let's unpack this a bit further.
Sounds good to me. Let's start by talking about the prevention side of things. I mean, the idea that simply being physically active could help us lower our risk of developing cancer in the first place is pretty powerful.
It really is. And the study suggests that this protective effect could apply to a surprisingly wide range of cancers.
Oh, yeah.
They identified at least 13 different types of cancer that showed a reduced risk in individuals who were regularly active. That's a pretty significant number.
Wow, 13. That's huge. What kinds of cancers were included in that list?
Well, some of the big ones they mentioned were breast cancer, colon cancer, and prostate cancer.
Okay, so those are some pretty major ones. That's really encouraging to hear. So it sounds like exercise might not only lower our risk of developing cancer, but it might also play a role in what happens if a tumor does actually form.
You're exactly right. The research delved into the potential impact of exercise on tumor growth. And what they found is that across a range of cancers, including those we just talked about, colon, lung, breast cancer, regular physical activity was linked to a slower rate of tumor growth.
Okay, so it's like hitting the brakes on tumor development in a way.
Aha!
Fascinating. I'm curious, how do they think exercise actually achieves this? Like, what's going on in the body when we exercise that might lead to these effects?
That's a great question. And the research points to a couple of key mechanisms. One of the most interesting is the way exercise seems to supercharge our immune system. Specifically, it boosts the activity of certain immune cells that are really important in our body's defense against cancer.
So those would be the cells that help us fight off the bad guys, right?
Exactly. We're talking about cells like natural killer cells, also known as NK cells, which are like the first responders of our immune system. They're on constant patrol, looking for anything suspicious. And then there are cytotoxic T cells, which are more like specialized assassins. They can directly target and eliminate abnormal cells, including cancer cells.
Okay, so basically, exercise helps our bodies build up a stronger defense force against cancer.
Exactly. By having a more robust and active immune system, thanks to exercise, our bodies are better equipped to deal with those rogue cells before they have a chance to multiply and form tumors. And even if a tumor does develop, it seems that a stronger immune response can help to keep its growth in check.
Yeah, this is all really fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
But I know what you're thinking out there because I'm thinking the same thing. How much exercise are we talking about here? What kind of routine do we need to follow to actually see these benefits?
Right. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. The study did offer some guidance on that. It looks like aiming for at least 3 to 5 workouts per week is a good starting point.
So consistency is key. We can't just do one intense workout a month and expect to be protected.
That's exactly right. You're going to want to make exercise a regular habit. And it's not just about how often you exercise, but also about the intensity of those workouts.
Okay, so we're not just talking about leisurely walks in the park.
Well, walks are great, but to really reap those cancer-fighting benefits, it seems like we need to step things up a notch. The research suggests that moderate to high-intensity exercises are where we see the most pronounced effects.
So what kind of activities are we talking about here? Can you give us some examples?
Sure. Think running, cycling, swimming, anything that gets your heart rate up and makes you break a sweat.
Yeah, those will definitely get the heart pumping. So why is that intensity so important?
Well, it seems like when we push ourselves physically, a few things happen. First, our hearts are working harder, which improves blood circulation throughout our body.
Okay, that makes sense. Better blood flow is generally a good thing, right?
Absolutely. And it's particularly important when it comes to cancer because that improved circulation could mean better delivery of immune cells to where they're needed. Plus, when we exercise at a higher intensity, our bodies also release certain hormones like adrenaline.
Oh, yeah, I definitely feel that rush after a good workout.
Exactly. And these hormones can actually play a role in enhancing our immune response, which is great news when it comes to fighting cancer. Plus, some research suggests that these hormonal changes might even help to directly suppress tumor growth.
Wow. So we've got the frequency, we've got the intensity. What about duration? How long should these workouts be?
That's a good question. The study found that many of the benefits they observed were associated with exercise programs that lasted for 12 to 16 weeks.
Okay, so we're not talking about needing to hit the gym for hours every day.
No, not at all. It seems like consistent effort over a few months can start to make a real difference. And interestingly, there's some indication that exercising for even longer periods could potentially lead to even greater benefits in the long run. But again, it's all about finding a sustainable routine that works for you.
Makes sense. And what types of exercise did the study highlight as being particularly beneficial? Was it all about cardio, or did strength training come into play as well?
Well, they did find that endurance exercises like running, swimming, and cycling seem to have the most direct impact on reducing cancer risk and slowing tumor growth.
So basically anything that gets you moving for a sustained period of time.
Right. But, and this is a really important point, strength training like lifting weights or doing body weight exercises is incredibly valuable as well.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Strength training is especially crucial for people who are undergoing cancer treatment because it helps to prevent muscle loss, which is a common side effect of both the disease itself and many of the treatments used to fight it.
That's something we don't always think about.
It's true, and muscle loss can really impact a person's quality of life. So ideally, a balanced exercise routine that includes both endurance training and strength training is going to be the most beneficial approach for both preventing cancer and maintaining overall health during and after treatment. It's all about supporting your body in as many ways as possible.
So just to recap, this study, which looked at both human studies and preclinical models and was published in Cell Metabolism, found that exercise can actually shrink tumors, reduce the risk of cancer coming back, and even boost our immune systems. That's pretty amazing. But it also looked at the role of exercise during cancer treatment, right?
Exactly. So let's move on to that part of the conversation, because there's more good news there as well. The research suggests that regular physical activity can actually improve the effectiveness of cancer treatments.
How so?
Well, one way exercise seems to help is by increasing blood flow to the areas where tumors are located.
Okay, and why is that a good thing?
Think of it this way. Better blood flow means that treatments like chemotherapy and radiation can reach the cancer cells more effectively. So basically, exercise could potentially make these treatments even more powerful in their fight against cancer.
So it's like clearing the path for the treatments to do their job even better. That makes sense. But beyond just impacting the treatments themselves, what about the toll that cancer and its treatments take on a person's overall well-being?
That's a crucial aspect to consider. And this is another area where exercise really shines. The study highlighted that regular physical activity can actually help alleviate many of the common side effects of cancer and its treatments.
So things like the fatigue and weakness that many people experience.
Precisely. Exercise can help to combat fatigue, improve muscle strength, and even lift mood, which is incredibly important when you're dealing with such a challenging diagnosis. It's really about supporting your body and mind throughout the entire journey.
So it seems like exercise is a powerful ally on so many levels. But I do want to be clear about something really important here. This study is not saying that exercise is a miracle cure for cancer.
Right. You're absolutely right, and I think that's a critical message for everyone to understand. While the findings about the benefits of exercise are extremely encouraging, it's important to remember that exercise is meant to work alongside, not replace, traditional cancer treatments like surgery, chemotherapy, and radiotherapy.
So it's a valuable partner, not a solo act.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Exercise can help create a more favorable environment in the body for those treatments to work more effectively and for you to better manage the challenges that cancer throws your way. But those treatments themselves remain absolutely essential.
Now, I'm sure you're wondering about some of the limitations of this study. What were some of the things that the researchers themselves pointed out as areas where more research is needed?
Good question. You're right. With any research, it's always important to consider the limitations. One thing the study authors pointed out is that a lot of the evidence for exercise's benefits came from preclinical studies.
Meaning studies done in a lab setting, right?
Yes. often using animal models like mice.
Okay, so while those types of studies are important for understanding the basic biology, we still need more research in humans to really confirm these findings and see how they translate to real-world situations.
Exactly. Another area where more research is needed is in figuring out the optimal dose and type of exercise for different types and stages of cancer. It's quite possible that what works best for someone with early stage breast cancer might be different from what's most effective for someone with advanced lung cancer.
So there's still some fine-tuning to be done to really personalize these recommendations.
That's right. And finally, most of the human studies included in this research were relatively short term. They typically followed participants for about 12 to 16 weeks.
So we need longer studies to see what the long-term impact of exercise is, both in terms of preventing cancer and reducing the risk of it coming back.
Exactly. But even with those limitations, I think the overall message of this study is incredibly hopeful. It provides further evidence that exercise can play a significant role in the fight against cancer.
I agree. So to sum it all up for you, here's what we've learned from this fascinating deep dive. Regular exercise can significantly reduce your risk of developing a variety of cancers. It can potentially slow down tumor growth. It strengthens your immune system. It can actually make cancer treatments more effective. And it can even help alleviate some of the difficult side effects associated with the disease and its treatments.
It's really about empowering yourself to take an active role in your health, both in terms of prevention and in terms of navigating treatment if you ever need to.
And remember, exercise is a complement to traditional cancer treatments, not a replacement for them. So it's essential to work closely with your healthcare team to develop a personalized plan that addresses your unique needs.
Absolutely. Now, as you go about your day, I'd like to leave you with a thought-provoking question. What's one small change you could make today to incorporate a little more movement into your life? It doesn't have to be anything dramatic. Even a 15-minute walk or a few simple stretches can make a difference. The key is to start small, be consistent, and celebrate those victories along the way.
And if you're interested in learning more about important health and wellness topics without having to sift through piles of scientific research, I've got a great resource for you. We send out a free weekly newsletter that breaks down complex research findings into easy-to-understand summaries. It's a fantastic way to stay informed and empowered when it comes to your health.
So if that sounds like something you'd find valuable, we encourage you to head over to our website and sign up. We'd love to have you join our community of health-conscious listeners.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.